Okay, well I'm back again now working on Roxy's Journal of Stitchery Volume 9, and we're doing the second book of Textile Tales, and I'm focusing on Aesop's Fables. So I'm looking at books from my childhood, and the first book I did was Wind in the Willows, and this is the second one now because it's February, Aesop's Fables. So in the previous video I've prepared the outside of the vintage book that I'm going to use as the cover, and prepared the first page, which is the first fable I'm looking at, is the goose with the golden egg. And so I traced out the goose in the nest with the egg, and I put down the saying, "Greed can destroy the source of good fortune." And I used a friction pen that you can remove with heat, and I will embroider on the top of that. But today I'm going to start working on the nest. So what you do is you get your tracing, or your original picture, which is this one that I purchased off Etsy. I purchased a Aesop's Fables colouring book, and this is one of the pictures, and I traced it on and put it on the fabric. But what I'm going to do now is cut out the outline of the nest. So I'm using a small pair of scissors. These scissors I only keep for paper. I don't use my sewing scissors for cutting paper. I'm just going to cut it out roughly at this stage. Cut it around the goose. And the egg. Like so. And then we're going to use this as a template on our fabric. So I've had to search through some of my fabrics to look for something that would be good to use as a basic, the base layer of a nest, and then I'm going to embroider on top of it. And I found this, I think I got it from a car boot sale. I think it's it's got a salvage. It's a William Morris print. Not sure what the print is called, but it's quite thick. I think it's like curtain weight. I like the shades, so I'm going to place the template on top of an area. I think this piece here, because you've got different shapes and it could look like twigs. So I think I'm going to use that piece there. And pin it and cut around it, and that will be the first piece of applique. So you want to applique all your pieces on your base and then sew on top of it. I'm just going to pin this here. Stab myself and cut it out roughly to start with. And then what you're going to do is place your cut pattern pieces out for fabric collage, and you place it on top of your pattern that you already put in your base layer. I'm just going to cut around it. You don't have to be too accurate because it's just going to be the base layer, and then I'm going to do a combination of thread painting. Might also put some weaving stitches on it. make it sort of a rough texture. That'll do. It just snips away. And then what you do is you find the area on your piece, and then that would be shaped around the goose. I think that looks quite good there. Yeah, I like the leaves and the looks like branches, so we can embellish on top of that. I'm going to attach it. Like so. And then the next thing we could put on is the goose. So you want to do the same and cut around your original pattern, your photocopy, and place it on some white fabric. I found this fabric. Now, I think it is a kind of lace, isn't it? It's a table tray cloth, I think, table tray cloth. But I'm going to place the pattern on top of it, and I thought I could use some of the lines to represent feathers. So I'm going to cut that out. And I've also you can sort of embellish with laces on top, but I found these. It was a bag of Christmas decorations in a charity shop. These are white poinsettias, but I thought I could use some of them as feathers. So I'll show you when I've cut out the background of the goose. I'll see where I can put these to make feathers. So I thought that would add a bit of interest to it. And then I found this lovely, is it lame, or not sure what kind of fabric this is, but gold. And I thought if I do a round, I could use that for the egg. So I'm going to come off camera now, or put some background music on, and cut out the next bit and come back when we're ready to stitch it down. Okay, so what I've done is I've cut out the shape of the nest in fabric and also of the goose in that white fabric. Lucky to have the eye. It was already in the fabric, so that's good. And what I've done is I've made a patchwork of different blues on the background underneath the goose, and one of the fabric has some little bees in it, so that was good. So I'm invisibly stitching, which is tacking, basically tacking down all the elements. So I'm just working around the goose, the background colours, and the nest with just a off-white thread with just some running stitches. So I'm going to do that with some background music on, and then we can put the details back into the goose. This was the original pattern, so we can use our friction pen to draw out the areas where we're going to put the wings, etc. So we do that after, but we're just going to baste it down basically first, and then we can add our decorative stitches on top. So I continue sewing the background fabrics down with matching threads. And then I just draw on the detail of the goose. I was lucky to find that fabric with the bees. It's good to keep all your little scraps of fabric. You can put them in a little bowl or a basket. With something like this, it's just ideal to keep all your little scraps. These are ideal beginner projects because you don't have to be neat with your stitches. I quite like it looking rustic. Handmade. Make the tip of the beak over the top. So this is just your foundation, and then you're going to add all your decorative stitches on the top, and that will just give it some texture. So I'll do that in my next video, add some feather detail and detail to the nest. It's just good to see the process. You just make the base first. Take that pin out. Needle's coming down. Oops. Sometimes it's just good to trim the end of the thread. It's easier to thread then. Just a running stitch. And don't worry about the messy back of the page because it will be backed with with a backing. Just need to do this piece here. So I'm using a perle cotton. It's not stranded, so you just use one piece, one length. And then for the nest, I used a variegated brown. use an embroidery hoop, but I don't worry. I find it easier just to do without one. Beauty of slow stitching, no rules at all. It's just a mindful process. Nice way to relax. So you can see it's a nice patched background. We've got the background of the goose and the nest. I'm just going to tie that thread off at the back. Okay, and then we're going to put some detail back in to the goose with a pen, so friction pen again, so you can iron it off at the end. And referring to your original drawing, you can just put the shapes back in. It doesn't have to be exact. And this is what we will follow and thread paint next time. Don't need to do the feather shapes too properly, just in pen, because you can use more detail when you add your stitches. Well, this is where the egg's going to be. If you're not comfortable just doing it by eye, you can just retrace them on from your pattern, but it's just to give you an idea. Yeah, I'm pleased with that. And then when we do the nest, we will add some of the shape back in then. But I'll just draw it round there. Like that. Do some lines. So there we go. So thank you for joining me, and next video we'll work on the outlines and add in the words. So thank you, and have a good day sewing. Bye bye.